All right, we're going to get started, everyone. Welcome to the first ever Access Virtual Staffing training session or program that we're doing here. I asked Hassani, I said, what's a good song? And she said, something with good vibes. And I said, okay, let's do Good Vibrations with the Beach Boys. And so here we are. I'll share a little bit about what we're doing, how this next little time period will go, and then what the future is going to look like too, because we're going to be doing and building and adding in more trainings like this as we go. So a little background on Access if you're new, and actually if you are available and on camera, that would be good, because how do you do an interview? You might do it on camera. We will be doing some Q&A later. So if you have some questions, audience participation is encouraged. But a quick little backdrop on Access Virtual Staffing. Our insurance business has been using virtual assistants for over 10 years now. And we decided it's so valuable to be connected with great talent in the Philippines and in Latin America that we decided let's build a staffing agency. So less than a year ago, we started Access Virtual Staffing, and we look to provide great virtual assistants in all different kinds of capacities to small business owners, whether it's solopreneurs or small businesses or any leader who's looking for support across all different kinds of business platforms and specialties and things like that. And so as I've been on a lot of interviews, John is here. John's the head of recruiting for Access Virtual Staffing. He leads when we have clients that want to get great candidates. John and his team then go out and talk to great candidates and find them so we can provide them to business leaders and owners in the United States. We've got Kim here, who's on John's team. Angelica, also on John's team. Hassani works for myself and the founder, Phil. And then we've got Tony here. Tony's one of the business development agents, and he's been on a number of interviews. As we were on some of these interviews, we started realizing some candidates are great interviewers and some not as great. And so what I wanted to do, and I was talking with John, I said, should we do some training? And he said, yeah, I think we should do some training. And so we wanted to offer some training for all different kinds of areas to up-level your skills and your ability to not only do good work, but share and communicate who you are, your background, and perform well in interviews. So that's what today is really all about. How do we communicate more effectively in interviews? And I'm going to go over 3 small things, and then we've got a beautiful deck that we're going to walk through in more detail. But let me check in with one of my co-hosts here. John, anything you want to say? What are you maybe most excited for in what we're talking about today?
Well, generally, I'm excited to let everyone know, all the participants and the candidates here, the secret and tips of what we're looking for in candidates. So once they apply, I bet they'll already ace it because they all have the tools and tips when they apply.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because we want to equip you. Certainly, if you're going for an interview or you end up finding a role with us that we're going to present you to a client, we want to make sure you put your best foot forward, because we want to put our best foot forward. Before I get into some of the topics that I wanted to cover, Tony, he's an incredible component of our team. He's also a leader in business and knows a lot about business, communication, interviewing best practices. Tony, anything you want to just put in from the top and share? What are you excited about today?
I'm excited about the whole thing. I think this is going to be great. It's needed. I know I've watched a lot of interviews. I've been a part of a lot of interviews. I've been a part of a lot of business CEOs and stuff about what they see and what they like. And so I definitely want to share. I do have some. I don't know if you want me to wait to the end or if you want me to share a few tips now. So I'll let you kind of lead the way on that. But I am excited for the whole thing. And like I said, it's a family thing. We want to equip, empower. I always say equip, empower, and send, and eventually multiply, because what we equip you to do, empower you to do, you're ultimately called to do the same thing to someone else, right? You take those tips, you take what you learn, and then you empower someone else, you equip someone else, and then you send them off to be the best in what they're called to be at whatever organization that is. So it's all about multiplication of an organization. And as an individual, you're you're always trying to have people eat from the fruit of your tree, right? And then everybody else be nourished from what you do, and then so on and so forth. So I'll leave it at that. And I do have some tips whenever you're ready. So
amazing, amazing. Yeah, I think a key word that I heard there was equip. Like we want to equip one another with skills and tools and abilities so that we can shine and we can do the best that we can possibly do and win the jobs that we want to win, and just do good work and do good things out in the world and serve one another. And that's part of what this is just bringing some quality to you. Let's do this. I don't see anybody on camera. If somebody wants to be bold and be on camera, that would be a good thing. But I'm going to ask in the chat, can you just put what city you're from? What city are you tuning in from today? I want to make sure that people are alive, engaged, and where everybody's coming in from. So if you can go into the Zoom chat, we've got Quezon City, Pow, I see that. Very good. Let's see who else is tuning
also,
in.
if you would like to add a struggle, maybe one struggle that you feel that you've had in interviews that maybe we can hit on if we have time, that would be also good.
Yeah, feel free. And as we go along, if you have a question or something I say or John says or Tony says or whoever says maybe doesn't make sense or you want to learn more about it, feel free to put some of your comments and questions in the chat. This is wide open because we want to make sure we're actually serving what is most concerning to you rather than just sending information as well. And I'll ask you guys to come off and maybe ask some questions in a little bit. I got Davao City, Caloocan, Alabang, Batangas, Binyan. This is great. All right, good to see everybody. I love that we have a little diversity in where everybody's coming in from as well. So I'm going to share three things that I think are critical in interviews. Then I'll let Tony share some things. John and the team has put together a good presentation, so we're going to get into that. And then we'll take some questions and answers. The first thing that I notice, and I think anyone notices in an interview, is your appearance. Appearance can be a lot of things. First, lighting. Can we see your face? I've been in interviews where I can't see the person's face. Some quick tips with lighting. If you have a lamp or something that you can put behind your screen or behind your camera so that it shines light on your face, interviewers, employers want to see your face, want to see your ability to make good eye contact. That's important. Are you looking at the camera or are you looking at different places? Like this is not good eye contact. Knowing where the camera is and looking at the camera, good eye contact. Body language. Are you sitting up straight? Are you hunched over? Are you kind of twisted? What kind of body language? I generally say like a 90-degree angle when you're sitting up at your chair. And we're all newscasters. If you're doing this virtually, you want to take, like I usually take a fist and make sure that there's just a little bit of space between my head and the top of the screen. And I know where I am so that you can see my hands. If I'm using my hands, you can see them. There's a little bit of space. You want to think I'm a newscaster and I want to present as someone who's on video and effective as possible. So those are some of the things that I think appearance-wise are critical. I also often talk about energy. Like, do we get a feel that you're excited? Do we get a feel that you're confident? Because that's going to get into some of the communication element, but body language itself, if there's a smile on your face, if you're engaged, if you're making good eye contact, that in and of itself can be a differentiator. I've gotten off interviews and debriefed with some of our clients and they've said, man, just didn't have a lot of energy, like could barely like get a feel. Like they want, we use the song Good Vibrations. Clients want to feel good vibrations from us. They want to know we're excited, we're enthusiastic, we've got good body language, we smile from time to time. I'm going to go, Tony, anything you want to add in that particular instance around just body language, energy, things you've seen, maybe like a tip or two around that?
Yeah, so one of the things I learned even at a very young age was you sell the sizzle, not the steak. So I don't know how it is in Philippines, but in America, there's restaurants like Ruth Chris and other ones where when they bring your steak or your meal, or maybe like fajitas, if you're in a Mexican restaurant, it sizzles and everybody around, they see the smoke, they see all the sizzling going on and all the heads are looking, and they don't just sell a steak. It's just, it's meat, it's this. So it's kind of the same thing he's saying, you want to be able to kind of sell yourself. And because that builds confidence. If you're confident, then they're going to be confident in you. I've seen a lot, like he says, where they have the skills. I've seen people do interviews, have the actual skills. I'm like, wow, they're very qualified, but so dry and didn't know how to express that confidence in what they actually did. And it really hurt them in the interview. So definitely something to work on. And I think by doing that, one of the practical things that you can do is to focus on your strengths, right? So don't focus so much on your weaknesses, but what are you good? You've already studied the company. You've already looked at what they're looking for. If you have strengths, whether that's CRM or understanding certain programs, whatever you're excited about, man, let that flow out, the things that you've done, because naturally, if you're excited about something, it's natural. You know, you're not trying to hide it. You're not trying to fake it, and it's going to come off that way. So if you're confident and excited about something, they're going to get excited about that and what you have to offer.
No, I think that's critical. Like, let your excitement come through. Let them feel the sizzle, as Tony just said. And here's what I know is challenging. If you don't feel confident in your communication, it's hard to build that confidence. I actually, believe it or not, struggled with my communication a long time ago. One thing that was really valuable was actually recording myself and then playing it back and seeing what I liked, seeing what I didn't like, and then doing it again and doing it again and doing it again. So if you want practice, we all, I think, have technology enough now that you could record yourself either auditorially or video on your phone or otherwise. Do practice. And if you don't have those capacities, do it with someone on Zoom like this, or do it with a friend. But the more you practice good communication, you can make significant improvement in a short period of time. I remember I did a brief kind of coaching session before one of our candidates was going to talk to one of our clients. And I just made a couple of quick adjustments. And in the interview, he performed so much better. But that's all it takes. Sometimes knowing, awareness, and then practice, and then you can deliver at a much higher level. So that's my encouragement. What I think I termed it appearance and how you show up. Make good eye contact, look at the camera, good body energy, good body posture, positivity, excitement, the sizzle that Tony spoke about. All right, so that's
And
point
the
one.
lighting, like you said.
Yeah, light. John, anything you want to add? John, you do a lot of interviews. So anything you want to add about appearance or some of the things maybe that are top of mind for you in that category?
Well, aside from that, I guess you mentioned all of it, but the most important thing is for the candidates to be presentable. A lot of Filipinos, or most of the candidates that I interview, are, of course, presentable during their interviews. But some of them, they're wearing inappropriate clothing, which is already a red flag when it comes to the hiring managers.
So yes, appearance is so important, you know, looking the part, you know, especially when you get into, I mean, most of the businesses that you guys seen is that these are high quality businesses in America, whether they're HR departments, whether they're in law firms, but you want to actually look the part. You want to be able to say that I fit, because what they're going to do, and this is just a natural instinct for people, is they're visualizing as you're communicating to them, they're actually visualizing you in that part. If you're supposed to be an HR director and you're working with, say, the CFO or whoever, the admin, they're envisioning as you're talking them with you. They're envisioning them training you. They're envisioning delivering you the paperwork. Like, that's just how we operate. You know, we're trying to fit that image in our head. So when you don't come presentable, it kind of messes up, it distorts it a little bit. Not saying you're not going to get the job, but when you do fit that mark of what they're looking for, they're visualizing, in real time what that looks like. And they're not visualizing you from afar away. Let me tell you, the companies are actually visualizing you inside their own business, and then kind of reminding themselves that you are a virtual assistant, but they're framing it in the sense of being hands-on and hands-on deck.
One example. We had somebody who interviewed really well, got hired. Day one, appearance, wasn't wearing like a professional attire, actually started eating during one of the orientations, and the client said, that doesn't work for us. And it actually ended up damaging the relationship, and they didn't continue with this person. So appearance is really important. Present yourself well, not only energetically, but actually put on a collared shirt or put on a professional attire if you can do that. That's that. I've got two more. I'm going to make these short and sweet so we can get to the presentation deck that John and the team put together. One is just clear, concise communication. If somebody says, tell me about this role, you don't want to go on for 5 minutes. You don't want it to not make sense. I worked as a digital marketer at XYZ company. I focused on primarily Facebook and Instagram enrollment, traction, posting, and building audience. What I was successful at was this. What I can do for your firm is this. So sometimes what I find is when we express ourselves, it gets really long-winded and we go on these tangents. My encouragement with your communication is you don't need to say more than 2 or 3 sentences to answer any question that they say. And then a magic question is, did that answer your question? Would you like me to tell you any more? This is maybe next level interview, but interviews are not just question, answer. We want them to be conversational. Hey, like, yeah, I did this and I did this and I did this. Could you tell me how could my skill set really impact your business? Does that fit what you're looking for? Now you've started interviewing them in a conversation. Like if Tony and I are talking, I say, Tony, how's it going? He says, it's great. I say, oh, what's going on? And then he says, well, what's going on with you? Like if we have a normal human conversation, we're usually going back and forth. So sometimes you don't think of interviews that way, but as good as you can get at making them more of a conversation than just a one-way question, answer, that can demonstrate your confidence and your personality, and that you can handle yourself from a communication perspective as well. So clear, concise, straight, direct communication, make it conversational. Tony, anything you want to put on that?
Yeah, so I did. There's 2 things that you mentioned that I think were keys. Actually, I kind of had them in my notes in that realm, but focus on results and not the role. So you'll hear a lot of interviewees, they'll say, you know, I was a virtual assistant for XYZ company, right? And you kind of hit on this, David, where you really want to say, I increased response time efficiently by 32%. So a lot of times you want to dial in what you've actually done, not just who you worked for, which is what he just hit on. And the other thing is the insightful question. When I was in the car business, one of the things I used was what, why, what are you looking for? They would tell me, and I would say, what's the most important thing to you on that thing that they chose? And I'd say, why is that important as a hot button? And they would tell me, and then I would focus on those things. So this is called insightful questioning, right? When you're in the interview process, one of the things that you could say is, what does success look like in this particular role after 90 days? So you're actually talking to the person that's hiring you and you're saying, let me ask you a question. And it looks like a mature response. It looks like you're professional, and what you're doing is you're allowing them to speak that after 90 days, what they deem to be success. So when they think about the roof, right, or what that is at 100%, they say, well, after 90 days, we would like to see this. We would like to see this. You would like to see that. What that does is it puts kind of what we call bullets in the holster, right? Or tools in the tool belt. Once you find out what their hot button is or what their goal or their vision is, then you're able to think through how you're going to proceed and how you're trying to match that. I'm not saying don't come with things that you don't know, but we've already done a job with John and the recruiting process to know that you are already a fit for these companies. So now you can actually start to move toward what that vision looks like. And those are called insightful questions, or what we call crutches. So if you get in a certain position where maybe you don't understand because of communication, just, slow down and ask them, let me ask you a question. After 90 days, what does ultimately success look like for you for a virtual assistant after 90 days? And he just hit on that.
Well, the fun part about this is asking good questions and being prepared to ask good questions was my third point. Before we get there, though, I want to touch on something that I think Tony was bringing out. I just put it in the chat. Features, advantages, benefits. If I take a simple example, a feature is like your experience. I'm just using digital marketing as an example. I have a lot of experience doing digital marketing. I've done it for 5 years. That's like a feature. It's like, 5 years of digital marketing experience. The advantage of that is I'm not starting out from scratch. I have a lot of experience in a lot of different areas. And in particular, like, if you knew that they wanted Facebook, I'm really good at Facebook. I've been doing digital marketing on Facebook for the last 3 years. Feature, the advantage is you've got a lot of relevant experience about what they're looking for. The benefit is even next level. how can that benefit their business? The benefit of my 5 years of experience, 3 specifically for Facebook, is that when I come into your organization, I'm going to amplify your Facebook profile. I'm going to attract at least 100, followers in the first week, and I'm going to cause more inbound leads because I've done that for 3 other businesses. What would it look like if you had more inbound leads for your business? So now you're taking experience, which is a feature. You're talking about the advantage of your experience, and then you're talking about how is it going to benefit their business? Because all business owners or leaders are saying, so what? How are you going to benefit me? And if you can actually speak that, it adds a whole, they're like, oh, this person understands what I want, and they're telling me how they're going to deliver the thing that I want. When you can share directly and concisely that way, it's a game changer in terms of the effectiveness of your interview skills. So we're going to go to point number 3, which is something we've seen in interviews recently. And John, anything you wanted to add on clear communication, concision, just how people share their experience? Anything you wanted to add there?
Yeah, for clear communication, basically, you should always be client ready, because that's what we're looking for. Someone already with experience, someone who be acting professionally, and someone who would be able to work with the client immediately.
Yeah, I think I love that John said client ready. Know who the client is, what they care about, and how you can connect your experience to their bigger needs. Because when you can do that, that's even better. Because now you're not just giving a generic answer, you're giving your answer connected to what's most important to them. The third point that we've seen many times in interviews is it comes to the point where the interviewer says, okay, do you have any questions for us? And I've seen way too many times, no, I'm all set. I think I have all I need. That is a moment where you have the opportunity to be prepared and to demonstrate curiosity, to demonstrate that you know your stuff, and to ask them some challenging questions. When you ask, this is a top tip. I was taught this a long time ago when I was trying to understand how to make an impact on business owners and CEOs. And somebody said, if you can ask a question that the person has a difficult time answering, you've diminished some of their power or credibility. And what you've done is elevated yours, because you said, oh, can you tell me about how does this work? And they're like, actually, I'm not really sure. And now it says you've asked an intelligent question that they can't answer, and they're like, this person's asking good questions. We had an example of that recently in an interview with a CFO, and the accounting person who asked a question, it was something that he's like, she really knows if she asks that question, she really knows her stuff. So at a base level, be prepared to ask at least 3 questions. An example I had recently, one was, and these are just generic questions, you could ask these questions. 1, could you tell me a little bit about the team and how the team operates? Very basic question. They're going to tell you about the team. They're going to tell you about the organization. Second question, what's like some of the bigger challenges the team is facing? So tell me about the team and the organization. Second question, tell me about some of the challenges that they're facing. In sales, we want to hear the client say, what's their challenge? What's their pain point? So the second question is going to have them say, this is what we're facing right now. These are our challenges. Listen for that pain. The third question is, how could you see my skill set and my background helping the team out or helping with those challenges? So now what's the person going to do? They're going to answer the question, and they're actually going to speak the value that you could provide to their organization. Tell me about the organization. What challenges are you facing? How could you see me and my background causing impact in that particular area? Those 3 questions alone are good to just come armed with. Now you might do some more specific research about the company and some things you're curious about. But I'm going to pause there. Tony, you were talking also about questions. Anything you want to say beyond what you shared earlier?
Maybe just a little bit of what you hit on was, mirroring person is good. So one thing that you can do, and this is the part of, you don't have to ask the question necessarily, but as you're talking about like maybe what the culture is, what's the culture like? Because a lot of companies, you have people that just put their nose down, and each individual in that position, so if that's a CFO, whether that's lead sales, whatever, they may just do things on their own, and that's it. They don't like to be bothered bothered. They don't like communication. Most successful companies do like a lot of communication. But you'll find if you ask, hey, what is the culture like there? Are you guys very like always talking to each other, involving yourself? And then that'll kind of let you know how you need to proceed, because then you can be more involved, you can ask questions, and you can feel okay about doing so. Some companies don't like to be bothered at all. If there's an executive or whatever, they want you to figure it out. They want you to be able to just get the ball and run with it. So things like that. But yeah, asking those questions are great.
Love it. Love it. John, anything you want to add in terms of asking questions or ways people can think about this?
Well, it just shows that you have genuine interest with the company that you're applying for. If you research about the company, if you research about the role, their culture, then it means that you're already culturally fit.
Yeah,
And
I
they would love that.
It's brilliant. And I kind of went beyond that, but like just showing that you're interested, that you did your homework, you looked at the company, you know what they're all about. We've had that experience too, when somebody in the interviewer said, could you tell us a little bit about our company and what you like about it? And it was clear that the person didn't even know what their core business was. That's a huge red flag. You got to prepare, look at the company's website, maybe ask our team, like what should I be prepared for? And then asking good questions about and being ready to share, like, oh, I saw that you do this and this, and this really excites me. And I'd love to be part of a team that's promoting this in the world. Like having that ready to be said is so powerful, because it lights the interviewer up. It makes them excited. Like this person really is excited about our business, the product we're delivering, the team culture. Like they really care. They want to be a part of our team. We want that feeling. We want to like feel your excitement for our business. It has us want to hire you. So I'll pause there. Maybe John, what do you want to do? Do you want to, we're about a half hour in. We don't need to go too much longer. Do you want to go to the presentation, or do you want to open up for questions and answers? What do you think you want to do?
Well, I just want to share one slide wherein I would like to show the candidates and the audience here what we're looking for before they're going to be interviewed, like synergies with the resume, cover letters, and videos. So maybe we can share 2 videos on how you can sell yourself.
Yeah, if you want to have Kim pull it up.
Yeah, Kim. So
And then
maybe we can go with tailoring your resume and cover letter and video with the job that you're applying for. So
Yes.
that would be an awesome tip to give the audience that we have here.
Okay, so I think we want to move this forward. And everyone, as we're pulling up this slide, think of some questions. Are there any questions that you have? If you do have a couple of questions or feedback, put it in the chat, because we're going to answer some questions in just a little bit before we wrap up. But John, do you want to move the slides
Okay.
over, or what do you want to do?
Okay, Kim, can we go to the part wherein we have the okay, so we have here your resume, cover letter, and video introduction, which are very critical when you're applying for a job, because basically when you're going through the job post, job ads, you look at the experiences and qualifications and you check the box if you have that. So it's the same thing when you're applying for a job. It means that you have to customize and directly address the job that you're applying for by aligning your skills, experiences, motivation, values to the job description. So you have to indicate there some of the softwares that you use and the softwares that the client is looking for. So you have to tailor your resume, add that on your cover letter and video introduction, just to make sure that they have synergy. So we're going to be showing you a sample of a video, which is very interesting. So when you create a video, it's nice that you talk about yourself, your hobby, stuff like that. But one of the things that the client and the hiring manager is looking for are your skills and experiences. So Kim, maybe we can play one of our candidates who were applying for Go High Level.
Hi! I hope you're doing great. And I know that you are here on my video because you need my help, right? I can be your administrative virtual assistant plus Go High Level expert. Hmm? I can help you build funnels, I can help you create workflows, I can help you create landing pages that will make your book into the market. So I can help you create campaigns through social media that will discover your new book that will launch this coming end of April. So I want to help you. I want to use my skills, my knowledge with regards to editing graphics, editing videos, editing reels, to make your book or your brand shine into the market and tailor it to your customers. So I can also help you build email lists through um, creating funnels that will catch all the prospect emails, and then we will send them out email that will make them click that sale button. So I want to connect with you. I want to um, give you more insight on how or what strategy that I will be using to help your business. So I'm waiting for your call, I'm waiting for your message, and I am excited to be part of your team. God bless and see you soon.
Okay, so that's just one example of creating a video which is tailored specifically for what she was applying for. Okay.
Yeah, and I
And
wanna, I'll share real quick, John, like if we were talking about what we were talking about earlier, there's a smile, there's energy, there's excitement. I might give some guidance in terms of some of the actual messaging, but this is a great example of someone who's giving some really positive, confident energy. And in terms of this particular candidate and role, the client was looking for someone who could help with their book and promoting it online and have go high level expertise. So message aligned with what the client wants, but also energy, positive and outgoing, excited, smiling. Yeah, John, keep going.
yeah, and she kept her video under 2 minutes, which is very important because at least she left something for the hiring managers to ask. Okay. And last, I would just like to show another video of someone who applied for a video editor role. Kim, maybe you can pull it up.
Hi, I'm Harold, your video editor, graphics designer, and social media manager. I can help edit your videos and graphics from scratch that look like this.
You want to know how to find good lenders for your investment property? Or
And elevate them to the next level of editing, something like this.
you've never been with anybody as good as us. But nobody knows that unless we reach out and we tell everyone. So look,
Caption styles like Alex Hormozy, motion graphics, and use of green screen are my favorites. By color grading your videos and images, I can make them more vibrant and visually appealing.
Inspection company, feel free to contact me or the information.
With over 8 years of experience in this industry, I've learned how to use various editing softwares such as Power Director, Filmora, CapCut, Adobe Premiere, ProShow, DaVinci Resolve, Sony Vegas, Descript, and other AI-based editing software. Photo editing is also a hobby of mine. I love using Adobe Photoshop, Canva to create infographics, brochures, carousels, and much more. I've handled numerous clients before, and all of them were successful. Working closely with a team and being proactive are my secrets. Short form videos, long form videos, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube videos, not a problem with me. You can see all of them in my portfolio. I also have great reviews and recommendations from my previous clients. So, if you want to know more about me and my experiences, let's set up a call and discuss your business.
Okay, so that's like a resume, cover letter, and a video all in one.
I'll give a little thought on, I mean, that was really well done. I thought that was like, if you're a video editor, you should be able to put together a beautifully edited video. And here's an example. I was in an interview and I said, do you have any examples of your work that you can share? And it was like, oh, it's under NDA, it's this, it's that. And if you have a skill, we often get the question, can I see some of their work? You want to be prepared that you can demonstrate some of the things that you've done. And this is a beautiful example, great communication, great video editing, and he's a video editor, so you should have a good edited video. It makes sense. It's an alignment. Like I would say, this is a great video that promotes his skill and his personality and his communication all in one. So great example, John. Where should we go now?
That's it for me. If there's anything else that you'd like to touch on. and Tony as well.
Okay, everyone, we're gonna start to wrap up here, but one, I put in, and Tony, if you have other thoughts, let's open that up too. But I put in 2 links. One is for our company LinkedIn page, and then one is for my personal profile LinkedIn page. But we're doing a lot of LinkedIn marketing and different things now. So we'd love if you want to connect with us on LinkedIn. We may actually do a future training about how you can build your profile in a professional way so that it's very attractive for other potential employers, and how to market yourself a little bit better. Because I see a lot of profiles out there and it's not always a compelling marketing kind of dynamic in terms of LinkedIn. So that's one thing we'd love for you to do, is follow us on LinkedIn. You can communicate with us on LinkedIn. We're posting regularly, so we'd love to build a connection with you there. I have a book that came out, so this is fun. Thank you for attending the webinar. And so we're doing some fun promoting things there. But we want to build a relationship with you. John, how do people, if they want to connect and put their resume or their profile into our system, what's the best way to do that?
We do have a website. They can check it out, Access Virtual Staffing. There are links there on some of the job openings that we have. When they click it, there's a link to the Podio form. Just fill that out and we'd be able to get your profile and get in touch with you.
Yeah, so if you haven't connected with us before, go to our website. On the website, you'll learn a little bit more about us and what we're doing. But we'd also love for you to put your information into our database, because we're going to be building and growing and have a number of different roles that are available. So if you are actively looking for employment, we want to get you into our system and make sure that we know who you are, we know what your skill sets are, and then John and the team can, as we have new roles coming out, reach out to you and make sure that if you're qualified for the role, that we can get you in front of the client. Yeah, that's great, John. Thanks. Angelica just put in the website link, so feel free to click on that. Tony, anything you want to throw into the mix before we start to wrap this whole thing up?
Yeah, just one quick thing. So right now we live in an age of AI. And so, I know we want to use these tools. Tools are great to use, but they do need to remain tools. And I used to teach on strengths-based leadership and utilizing your strengths. And I found in some of the interviews, and we'll see this more and more as AI starts to advance, but a lot of people are using a lot of things on AI, but then come into the interview and not actually knowing the things that they've presented, right? Because AI can make you look really good. It can have a lot of things. So what I would say is make sure you're utilizing your strengths. Use AI to complement your strengths, something that you're already good at. If you're already good at it and you need just some extra tips to kind of make that a little bit broader, what happens is you can explain what you already know. And these things become a complement, because what happens is if you're trying to use AI to be better in the interview by just adding extra things that'll make you look like you know more than you actually do, it's going to turn itself into a weakness because it will be exposed. So I do want to mention that in this day and age of AI. Another thing is clarifying, and David hit on this a little bit, but clarify the feature that you're in. So don't just say, oh, I'm good at CRM. Use the actual names for the CRM, right? Or I'm very proficient in Slack or whatever that is, but use those proficient things. Another thing, here's another crutch that you can use. I think it was Dale Carnegie. He used it in sales. I don't really recommend it in the sales department nowadays, but it is good in the interview process, and that's feel, felt, found. So what I've seen in interviews is the company is asking them a certain question about doing X, Y, Z, and they kind of freeze, right? They don't know how to answer it. And so they'll talk about like a situation that happened. So let me give you an example. They'll say something, and what you say is, you know what? I felt the same way, or I feel the same way, or I had a company I worked for that had that same feeling or that same question, and they felt similar. But what I found out was, and then you get into what you did and how you overcame that. So feel, felt, found, you're relating to what they're going through, a similar question, or what we call a pressure point or tension. And then you're going over kind of like storytelling to kind of bridge that gap of, yeah, I had a similar situation. And what I found out was when you actually take care of this, or you put in these types of boundaries, or you set these kind of things, it was easier to overcome, and we never had those issues again. So those are just one of those crutches that you can use as well. And then have an ownership mentality. Every company I've ever trained anybody from the lowest person, I don't care if they're toilet cleaners or I started there, like the reality is have an ownership mentality. So when you go into these interviews, already assume, hey, being there with you, you would tell the person interview, as I'm with you doing the accounting and we're discussing these things every day, I think communication would be good, and I'm learning off of this and I'm handling that. And the way I communicated in this other business is the way I'll do it here. But it's always having an owner mentality, not a renter mentality, right? And if you have an owner mentality, you're creating buy-in for yourself and you're creating buy-in for the company, that this is an actual family and we want to progress, not just for the temporary future to have this virtual assistant, but for the long term, because that's ultimately what you want. You want to grow with a company. So just those few things, and that's about it.
Beautiful. And I think on that last point, it's how we can frame the way in which we communicate when we get asked a question. And you can say, if I were to join your business, this is how I would operate. And I would ask you this. So it's almost like you're speaking from what I think Tony's saying is like, you're already part of it. Like you're thinking long term. You're not just trying to say the right thing in the moment. It's like, no, like as this business grows, I'd be excited to help you with this and this and this. And now you're projecting vision as like someone who's not just in and out, like you're there for the long term. So beautiful point there. All right, we're going to do two things before we wrap up. One, I just put a question in the chat. What is your top takeaway from today's conversation? So please put in the chat, what is one thing that you learned today that you're taking away from this conversation? And I'll call out some names here. I see Kristen, Tim, Virgilius, Jamaica, Sis, Abby, Faye, Jonalyn, Lillian, Mary, Shaika, Sophia, Ying, Pao. What's one thing, if you guys are here and you're tuning in, one of the things I've gotten in my journey, the way that we learn the most is when we actually like say, oh, what did I get out of this? And then crystallize the learning. So if you could, in the chat, put one thing you took away. Here we go, Virgilius. How to sell yourself and be excited in the interview. Virgilius, are you able to talk with us on audio? Could you share just a little bit more about what you mean by that?
How to sell yourself, meaning what are your positive traits that in lines with the job, and you have to be energetic with the interviewer, so there's no gap between the interviewer.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And Virgilius, what business or what skill or specialty do you focus on?
Right now, because I have various experience, social media marketing.
Social media marketing, and do you specialize in any particular area, or like what are you really good at? If we were to say I'm really good at social media marketing, but inside of social media marketing, this is what I'm really great at.
I'm good at graphic design and video editing.
Graphic design, video editing, and what kind of companies have you done that for in the past?
I did companies like photography studio, printing company, and advertising company also.
Very good. And what's one of the biggest challenges you seem to be facing now, or like what have you struggled with maybe in interviews? If you have a point of like, why did you come to this particular training as an example?
Because I like to land decent job being a virtual assistant. I don't have to travel anymore. Just at the home, don't need to travel.
Good.
The
Okay.
comfort of the home.
To learn how to communicate a little more effectively, so you can land a virtual assistant position. That makes sense.
Yes.
I'm looking in the chat. I only see 2 comments. That means there's a lot of people here and not everybody's participating. That's okay. Abby, I did see you come on camera. What do you think about all this? What's one takeaway, Abby, that you have, if you wouldn't mind sharing with us? Abby, are you there? I see Pao said, be client ready. Pao, can you share a little bit more about that? Are you able to come off mute?
Yes, as I was listening to what John said earlier, to be client ready. I think you just have to present yourself in a presentable way. You have to communicate clearly with the interviewer. You have to understand. You have to be active in listening. So I don't know how else I can explain.
No, that's good, pal. That's good. That's important, to be client ready and to really prepare. I think that's something we didn't necessarily talk about, but I think it was embedded in what we were saying, is do preparation for these interviews, whether it's preparing how you're going to share things, preparing and understanding the company better. All of that can go a long way heading into an interview for sure.
Just something to add to what David just said. CEOs don't actually just want like a doer. They want you to see that you actually understand the reasoning behind what they're actually asking. So it kind of just hits on what David said. So when they're in there, it's not like, oh, I can do this. It's what's the reasoning behind what they're actually communicating or why the question. If you can understand the why behind their question, that'll also help you tremendously.
Absolutely. All right, I'm looking in the chat. I see Sis said, be concise in communication. Abby, you're on video. You wanna say a couple of words here? What do you got?
Hi everyone. I think someone also said that all of us have fear. Sometimes we have fear on an interviewer, and sometimes we don't have confidence to talk, especially if we are not yet skilled on the position we are applying. So that's my takeaways for now
Yeah,
for an interview.
what's something you learned today? Like, is there something that you're
Yeah, I learned and I see some applicants, they have very good in interviewing. So I think I wish or I hope that I am like them. So I need to be more to be trained more, and to have confidence on interview.
Yeah, I'm going to acknowledge you, Abby, because one, you're the only one who came on video and you're sharing here. And what I want to say too, great smile, like energy, authenticity. I want to validate your feelings because it's not easy. It's not easy, especially if we don't feel we have the skills or it's a new role or just being intimidated by talking to somebody who we may not feel we're worthy or belong. There's all different kinds of things. We had a client call yesterday, and I had to kind of think like, am I worthy to be in this conversation, right? Like sometimes that's something. So if I can encourage you and everyone else here, one, you're worthy, and we just want to put our best self forward. And I think it takes some practice too. Like if you really want to get good at communication, you tuned in here, take some of these takeaways and practice them. You could practice them by yourself. You could practice them with other people. There's all different ways to practice these things. But if we don't make the effort to practice and to improve, nothing's going to change. So does that make sense, Abby?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah,
And just so I just want to add something
got it.
too, because I definitely commend you because you actually took ownership of your lack of confidence, but you're very confident about opening up the video. So you want to lean into that, you know, that it's not as scary as you think it is. And just a couple practical steps that can help you with it is I want you to think of 3 things that you're passionate about. If that's going to the beach, or I don't know if you're close to Cebu City, it's going downtown, it's going, whatever you're passionate about, I want you to write down 3 things that you love to do, whether that's hanging around friends or whatever. And then I want you to record yourself on a phone. So you would ask a question, you know, tell me about whatever that thing is that you filled in for being passionate about, and then record 30 seconds on that topic and do that for 3 things. So what that does is it implements application. So when you're passionate about something you're already passionate about, now you can start to bridge that gap into now like intelligence and giftings and talents and what you're experienced in. So then you'll take your 3 experiences and say, I'm really good at emails or, you know, calendars or whatever that is. And then you use that same hunger, that same passion as you bridge it over. But if you practice with the easy thing, it's easier to take it over to something more difficult. And the more you practice, the better you'll play.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant approach. Like when we want to get more excited about things and demonstrate more excitement about things, find things we're actually excited about, talk about those things. But the reality is we can talk excitedly about anything, even something we might not be all that excited about, but we got to train our brain and train our body to communicate in that way. So there are things that excite each and every one of us. We want to take that excitement and that model and put it on the things that we may not feel as confident or excited about. I see some more folks on camera. Good to see you, Sis. Good to see you, Lillian. I saw Jamaica for a moment. We're going to do one other thing, and we can keep talking for a little bit as well. But if everybody who can come on camera would come on camera, because we're going to take a group photo just to have a memory of this first training. So I see some other names out there. If Virgilius or Kristen or Tim or Faye or Mary or Shaika, Sophia, Ying, if you guys wouldn't mind coming on camera, then we're going to take a little photo and we'll just commemorate this moment. And I don't know, Angelica, if there's a way I can aggregate the people that are on camera so that works. Angelica, does anybody know about Zoom and how to do that? And if not, no problem. All right, Virgilius is here. Welcome, Virgilius. I see you coming off camera. All right, well, it doesn't matter. We're still going to do a screenshot. So at the count of three, hold on. I'm just going to do a screenshot of this, and then we'll say this was the first of many. All right, everyone. 1, 2, 3. All right, awesome. Well, who else came on here? Does anybody want to share? Jamaica, what's the takeaway for you? I don't know if I'm saying your name right. Correct me.
Yeah, it's correct. Well, I type here my takeaway. I say show confidence and let your personality shine through in a professional way. Because in my previous interview, I am really shy to show my personality since I always think about like I need to be professional, but I forgot to show my confidence. So that's what I think that's the best thing to do.
Yeah,
That's it.
it's a beautiful point, Jamaica, and it's not always easy, but I encourage it. I think we don't want to be robots. We don't want to be rigid. We want to let because we want to work with people that like us, how we are. We don't want to cater ourselves to other people. I know we want to get the job, and that's important, but we also, my experience, I want to work with people I like, and I know their personality, and I know they're being authentic with me. Like, I personally love that. I love people that have a little bit of color to them, a little bit of energy to them, a little bit of differentiation, not just robotic. So I encourage it, Jamaica. That's a good point. Thank you for bringing that forward.
Authenticity is key for sure.
I'm
There you
unmute. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Good to see you.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be here. I'm joining from Kenya, Africa. And
Okay.
my main takeaway is ownership. Ownership of the company that you are interviewing. Make sure that you ask questions to your manager or your CEO, questions that will add value to the company. Get to know exactly what challenges they are facing currently and what you can be able to contribute when you have joined the company, how your expertise can come in and improve the challenges that they have. What other skills do you have? What are you bringing to the table? That is basically how I understand ownership. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
That was really well said. Like, that was almost like a summary of a lot of the content we covered and encapsulated under the ownership element of it. But all the other things you were saying, like listen, know what they want, cater to what's important to them. All of that is really important stuff and great takeaways. What kind of work do you do, Lillian? Where do you focus your expertise?
I'm currently working for a local NGO here in Kenya. I am their resource mobilization manager. So I get to interact with a lot of people, especially online through LinkedIn, trying to solicit for grants, funds, and even reach out to donors to be able to join our cause and contribute either in kind, in person, with advice. It's more of a role that is remote, but I also get to go on site. And I'm here also looking for an opportunity to now become a professional virtual assistant. My expertise are mostly in fundraising, but I am also open to other opportunities because I have also gained other skills through my profession.
Very cool. Now, how did you find out about this training?
I honestly have been following you on LinkedIn for a while. So yeah, I got to just get the notification and I joined.
Oh, amazing. Well, that's great. That means LinkedIn is working, and everyone else, make sure. I guess you're following me already, Lillian. But like, we wanna build a community on LinkedIn. So anyone else who's here, even if you're not on LinkedIn, I recommend signing up for a profile, putting your information in, and we're probably going to do a future training on how to promote yourself on LinkedIn, how to put a good profile together, and things like that. So, Lillian, great to have you here. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Sis, do you have any, you're on camera. Do you have any thoughts or what's your takeaway for today?
Hi guys. Actually it's evening here right now in the Philippines, but I know that it's currently morning, right, in your place.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's 12,
right.
12 hours difference.
Some
So
of
11 a.m. here, 11 p.m. there. Yeah.
Okay.
6 p.m.
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. By the way, my name is not sis. It's sister, short for sister. I'm currently using my name on church. That's why it says. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
But
Yes.
yeah. But
What's
my
your
name.
name then? AJ or?
Yeah, my name is AJ, short for April Joy. Okay. And actually I'm taking notes, by the way. Yeah. And I
By
was
the
invited
way,
by
by the
Mm,
way, everyone, that's the best way to learn. To take, like, we hear it, we write it down, we review it. Taking notes is a really good way to learn. If you didn't know that already, I'm always taking notes when I'm listening to things, whether it's clients or otherwise. That's actually a good tip for interviews too. If you're in an interview, sometimes I'll write things down if I want to remember it so I can bring it up later. So didn't mean April Joy. Back to you.
yeah, you can call me AJ David.
Okay.
Just call me AJ.
I like
It's
April Joy.
better.
That's a good name. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I've been invited with my cousin Angelica. Shout out.
Ah,
Yeah.
Angelica is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So I put here, just to be concise, the communication in interview should be conversational, because we know if we do a Q&A question setup, it's boring, you know. So we should be conversational, and yeah, in the usual interview, we should know what we are telling on the interviewer, because and also what Tony said, be careful of using AI, because if you use AI but that is not exactly what you are, it will be a negative or red flag on the interviewer. Yeah. And yeah, I think that's it. Just be yourself and show what really skill you have.
I think that's a
And
good.
yeah,
And what
just
else?
to oh yeah. By the way, I don't have any background in virtual assistant, and I just got interested. Okay, I'll just try to join and see what you are doing, guys. So I think next seminar that you will have, I'll just try to join and see. And I know there's a lot of learnings on this kind of platform.
Good. Well, glad you joined. I'm glad Angelica invited you. And I think that's a good message for us to close out on. And it came up a number of times in this conversation is be yourself. I think it's easy to say, it's hard sometimes to really do. But if I've learned anything in my life and my journey, and we've all had our challenges, but when we're true to ourselves and true to whoever created us. I'm a Christian, so I always look at like who created me, who am I supposed to be, and I want to live aligned with that. And I think that's a good approach to just life, but also interviews. We don't want to put on any false fronts or false faces, because when it comes down to it, even if we get hired and we can't do the things that we said we could do, that causes a problem too. So just be yourself, be truthful, be authentic, and we just get better at doing all of that along the way. Tony.
So I just wanted to kind of piggyback what you said. And one of the things too is this, when you try to be something that you're not, like he says, he's a Christian, I'm a Christian, I'm a pastor. And so what we do, and we just talked about, David and I talked about this week, about the enemy of best is good. And so a lot of times that job may not actually be what's best for you. And so if you're trying to force something in, God has something better for you. And if you're authentic, you may not get that one, that particular job, but there'll be something else around the corner, an interview that you really do shine and it's the perfect fit. So by kind of cutting corners, you hinder God's best for your life.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, everyone. John, any closing thoughts? John, how did you think this went? Did we do okay for our first time here? What do you think?
Yeah, I guess we did well. Thanks to David and Tony, who made everything easy and made everyone comfortable and able to speak out and give out their thoughts. I know that in the next events and seminars that we have, it would be more people will be able to participate and ask more questions, and everyone will be more comfortable.
Yeah, and so we'll be reaching out to everyone. We'll have future trainings and things, and I love that Angelica invited AJ. Like, feel free to invite other people you know as we do have more of these, because our intention is to share as much value as we can to build community around this, and we're also building Access Virtual Staffing, and we intend to have lots and lots of roles and clients and opportunities. So if you're taking all these trainings and learning them and getting good at them, that'll be great for getting hired. And we want to partner you with our clients as well. So just keep that in mind and reach out to us. We gave you the website in the chat, so make sure you update your profile there. Make sure you connect with the profiles on LinkedIn. And thank you for being here. And we look forward to more of these. Have a great day, afternoon, night, wherever you are, time zone wise, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Take care, everybody.